All right. It is time to get rolling here. Welcome to the death knell of 2020. You're watching Thrashing Code, and I've got a nice little end of year wrap up. A few things to note. This stream actually has a sponsor, and you will be shocked, maybe not so shocked to know that it is Azure, Microsoft. They loved what I'd been doing with Azure, so they'd opted to sponsor a session. A big shout out to them. And of course, I'm employed by Hasura, and we'll be using some Hasura product on this stream today. They make a kick-ass GraphQL API server. Microsoft has a code of conduct. I have a code of conduct too. I've never written it down, but don't be, this might breach the Microsoft code of conduct, but don't be shitty. And I'll call you out if you are on stream. Just be cool. We're here to learn stuff. That's what we're going to do. The repository for today's stream is located here, so go check that out. If you're watching this as a VOD after it's live, you'll be able to go there, and all the code and script and data munging stuff will be there. So you can just go grab it and follow along with the code there and check out in more intimate code detail what I'm going to be doing today. Some of the backing material, I'll go ahead and reference it. I'm going to post it here, but I'll talk about it at the end of this whole session too, after we've done a bunch of it. But I have this blog post, which covers a lot of what we're going to cover today. And then I have the top 3 refactors I did to that. What we're going to do today is going to be a little bit more kind of going beyond just that. So we're going to have a lot more beyond just the blog entries. Also, call out to this path. Go navigate out to this one. It's a great blog post on running Hasura and Azure with a single click. So like, it's not quite infrastructure as code. It's not like a redeployable over time thing, which we're going to be doing here today. It's a one-click, boom, get you started with Hasura on Azure, gives you a place to test out things. So it's pretty awesome in that regard. Also, welcome 10x Frogrammer. Hope your day is rocking so far, or your night, or whatever it is, wherever you're at. And then I also have a blog post on the Hasura CLI installation. It's just the basic documentation plus some tips about kind of what you're doing and what you get when you're installing the CLI. I'll be using the CLI a little bit on the stream today. And then there's some other stuff that relates to things we'll be doing today. Name casing, which is kind of important when you want to have naming across the system be in a format and a convention that is useful to other people using your whatever it is you're building, your database, your data schema, your application, whatever. Anybody that needs to do maintenance to it, there ought to be some type of convention that you're following to get it all done. And I have this post in relation to that too. So name casing and then the conventions. There will also be halfway through the stream today, whoever's on halfway through the stream, I'll have swag codes. So you can go get some swag, again, from our sponsor, Microsoft. Cheers to Microsoft for sponsoring the stream. And I hope you go get yourself some free stuff. Hello, Digital Drummer. Long time no see. 22-month subscription. Kicking ass and taking names as always. Is that vulgar too? Did I breach the Microsoft COC? I don't know. There's a code of conduct. I hope that wasn't too dirty of a word. They might not sponsor me again. And I've only had 1 cup of coffee, so I'm going a little slow today. Anyway, it's the end of the year stream. 2020 is about to wrap up in many ways, thank goodness, because what a year it's been. Got my little pretzel rocks over here, as you can see, and we're going to get rolling into this stuff. Got a little tune, Stimmage, Narrowband, Barossa, That should be displaying in Twitch, but it doesn't seem to be. And I am only streaming to Twitch. This will go to VOD later. But right now, here we go. We're going to get rolling. And I'll probably edit out a bunch of what I just talked about in the VOD so it goes straight to content. Because via the VOD, you won't be able to get the cool codes that I'll pass later for swag and stuff. Digital Drummer, you're going to see a lot more of me in 2021, by the way. I've got a whole slew of stuff. And if you're not signed up, one other big call out to something of my own, go check out the Thrashing Code, Composite Thrashing Code newsletter. I'm going to post that in chat. And sign up on the newsletter. I'm going to post via the newsletter and only via the newsletter initially. All of the things that I have scheduled for Thrashing Code in the first quarter of the year. All right, so enough of me doing the mouth running stuff. Let's get the stream posted where I promised. So here is, oh, by the way, how's the music level? Is it too loud? Can you hear me fine? Am I clear? It's always hard for me to tell, even though I have monitoring here. So thumbs up. What music? Oh, you don't even hear the music. Oh, because I'm using StreamYard. Let's see. Let me see if I can tweak that real quick. Audio. Yeah, I'm sorry. You may just not get music. I'll have music. How do you get music to stream through the stupid thing? Anyway, that'll be a thing I figure out another day. Audio. It's always a dilemma. I have a new Pretzel subscription, which I highly recommend because it doesn't license hit me every time I go on YouTube or whatever. So it's a great product to get if you're going to stream and you want to have music. And I like to have music. So I have music. Y'all out there in the audience, turn on some music for yourselves and rock out with me. You know, make sure it's something good and heavy. You know, something that really inspires you to kick ass and take names. All right. So first things first, here's a summary in the GitHub repo. I'll blow that up a little bit. In the GitHub repo, Terrazura. Okay, I tried to combine Terraform and Azure. The Code Poet, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the mosh pit. We are getting into things. You joined. You followed at just the right moment. Oh yeah, not an actual pretzel. I don't know why they called it pretzel. Maybe I'll ask them sometime when they let me come hang out with them in Redmond. You know, in the days when we get enough vaccines to quell all of the strains of the coronavirus and all of its mutations. All right, yeah, don't get sidetracked, Adrian. All right, so this is a README out there, and as promised, I said the video link will go right here when I'm going live. So let's see, I guess that would be the Twitch stream. So let me just get that. I'm gonna paste that in there. All right, boom. Good, we're gonna commit that there. And then I'll throw that out there on there. Wait, he's got Snoop Dogg's got wine now. Everybody gets wine. As soon as they realize they really love this stuff, they're like, I'm loaded. I'm gonna go get a vineyard and make some wine. Oh, that cracks me up. That's so awesome though. Good for Snoop. Okay. Oh, I closed that repo and I wanted it. So I'm gonna work from the repo because I wrote exactly what it is we're gonna do in there. And I'm going to zoom this back, though, to my readable size. So first thing, we want to set up infrastructure as code using Terraform. So I'm going to let's see here, get that link, open up iTerm, and go ahead and pull that repo down somewhere locally to work with it. And this I will, whoops, there we go. I call it Terrazura, and I probably got it. Is it there? Nope. Okay, perfect. I'm just going to clone the repo to start working from it. All right. And then touch main.tf for our first Terraform file. Oops, not there though. Oops. So let's get in the right directory. Okay. Now I already have the config YAML because I use the GitHub static site thing, which is just based off the README. So eventually the README will be the website for this over on the github.io site. My README has, as you can see in it, that right there. I'll eventually update that at the end of the stream when this goes to a VOD, and get all that stuff in there. And I believe I MIT licensed this, so you can do whatever you want with this pretty much. No, I Apache licensed it, but pretty much it's a, you know, it's an open source repo. You can do whatever you want to with it. Oh, it is, Pretzel Rocks is streaming to Twitch. I just need to probably not use StreamYard in the future or figure out how to do audio via StreamYard. Okay, all right, we're in there and we need our main.tf. Okay, now I'm gonna open up Visual Studio Code. All right, and then let's see here. First thing we want to do is, well, really what we want to do is what Terraform init. We don't want to Terraform init yet. What we need is we need the Azure provider, which is going to be provider Azure RM and the version. We're gonna go with, at least I hope we're gonna go with 2.20.0. That kind of changes a little quickly. This is the last version I used that everything seemed to work okay with, and the providers that I needed were available and pulled down okay and didn't cause any problems. And then I'm just going to add in Azure, you have a base resource that you almost always need, which is the Azure resource group. So I'm going to go ahead and just create a resource group and call it, let's call it Azure Resource Group. And I'm going to name it, we're going to call it Terrazura. Name it. There's two names. So this is the Terraform name, and this is going to be the actual name of the resource in Azure, like when you go and actually look at Azure in your portal. Again, just to state, one of the prerequisites of going through this is that you've got an Azure account and you've got it set up already. I'll provide some links to things that can help you get set up, but otherwise it's pretty much done at this point. So I'm just using it as is. So Terrazura. And then let's see, I want it in location. You have to set a location. I'm going to go West US 2. West US 2 is the one that's closest to the Seattle, Portland, northwestern US hemisphere area, located, I believe, near the Dalles in Oregon, which is an area along the river using hydropower. So get nice, clean, semi-earth friendly power for our stuff here. All right, so with a provider now and one resource set, I can do two things. I can pop open my terminal, my Visual Studio Code terminal, like so. All right, and I can there it goes, Terraform init, and it'll pull down the provider, and it will also provider for Azure Classical Resource Manager. You're probably looking for the Azure Resource Manager provider. Oh, nothing like them changing stuff. And then I try something again and it hits. So let's do this then. No available version is compatible with this version of Terraform. Well, okay. All right, we're going to have to do some initial troubleshooting right off the bat here. The Terraform, let's figure out what version we have. I'm going to show you how to upgrade Terraform real quick. So we have Terraform, yeah, the CLI, because I don't care about the other stuff right now. Nope. How do you? Okay, this is how I used to go to it real easy. Where's the? No, I don't want any of this stuff. I just want install or Terraform download. There we go. That's what I wanted, this download page. So I'm on Mac OS right now, so we'll do 64-bit. And then I'm going to open this up where it goes and go unzip it for the Darwin core. Okay. And then I'm going to right click and open the terminal. The tab here. All right. So in here we have, there's Terraform. And then I'm going to do, was it which Terraform? Yeah, that shows me where I have it installed. So what I want to do now is move Terraform here to users, Adrian, codes, apps, Terraform. So, and before I actually do that though, I'm going to do Terraform version. What version do I have? So I'm on 12.18. So 14.3 is the latest. Terraform's really kind of picky about wanting you to upgrade to the latest. So that's a good idea to do that whenever you get a chance. All right, so we're going to do the move command. Oh, which didn't save, of course, because I didn't run it. Terraform users, Adrian, codes, apps, Terraform. All right, so let's do that now. Terraform version. And boom, we are upgraded. Sweet, okay. So now let's try this out. Let's get back to Visual Studio Code. Get status. I've been getting this weird hang in Visual Studio Code. If anybody knows the solution to that, let me know. I'd really like to know. All right, so nothing added to commit, but untracked files, Terraform init. All right, so that release which may help you. What is this? This is some ridiculous stuff here. So the provider configuration block, but that is now deprecated. It will move. Okay, let's get rid of version then. We're just going to troubleshoot all sorts of stuff in this one. Let's get rid of that too while we're at it. Let's see if we can do this. Can I do this? Do I need to do, maybe I need to set the version. What? It doesn't like that. Can I just do this? What a hacky situation. This is very uncouth. Terraform. Run the following command. Okay, Terraform providers. Providers required by registration. Do I need to do this? Oh, whoops. I need to put this in it. Oh, okay. So let's go in the docs. And let's do this. Terraform Azure. What am I supposed to be doing? What has changed in the past like month? Probably did a whole bunch of stuff and it's completely screwed me up. Now just give me an example of what it's supposed to look like. Yeah, this. Pinning to a get version of the provider. Right, okay. Resource group, this thing. Oh, you know what? I think I know what I need to do. What did we just determine? We determined that 41 is the latest. So let's do that. Then let's delete our Terraform directory here that tried to initialize. And let's try this over. Oh, this is really wonderfully bad timing. Browse providers. Azure. Oh, I have to do this now? Okay, okay, try that. Let's try that. Okay, so what it looks like they've just told me I need to have is designate a resource thing called Terraform, require provider this, that version, and then set the provider as an available thing. So let's try that. Oh, nothing like this to start the day off. What a load of garbage. Using providers. Yep, don't need multiple providers, just need the one. Resource this, selecting alternate providers version, an older way to manage provider versions. Okay, so what about, oh, there's one for Active Directory now, and then, okay, that's interesting. And then the Azure. So this is the Azure one, it says use provider, and this is the example. So I just put that in, and it didn't work. Published a year ago. Okay, I don't want that one. I want RM. That's the one I want. Okay, we're going to try this again. I'm going to remove the resource for now and just put that in. Just what they have in the documentation. And remove the Terraform directory. Remove the Terraform directory. Come on, code. Do your job. Anyway, is it gone? Oh. Okay. Gone now. Good old CLI. When in doubt, use the CLI because it is probably the most reliable thing in computing. All right, so now let's try Terraform init again. If you have, okay, that's the old one. But okay, we have, what the heck did I do different? Oh, get rid of this, that's irrelevant. Okay, so we're in. We got it running, finally. Whew. Okay, now let's try a simple resource group, Azure RM resource group. Call it Terrazura. Undo this. All right, name Terrazura. Whoops, Zura group. Then location. The base will be set to West US 2. And let's init that again, and then Terraform. I didn't really need to do that. We're already initialized. I just need to do Terraform plan. There's the lock file. You'll notice went in over here. And features required field. Okay, so let's do features, I think is what they want. So let's do this now. So many changes, so many weird oddball changes. Yeah. There we go. Okay, so it's got the resource group. And then I'm going to make sure that I have my provider connection stuff already set up and actually apply that. Terraform apply. Looks like it's working. And then also, while that's running, navigate out to Azure Portal. There we go. Yes, please create the resource group. And then I don't want recommendations right now. Thanks, though. And it should pop up here in all resources in just a second. Looks like it's working. There we go. I'm going to refresh. And no, not in the resources. Let's go to resource groups. Should be in there, right? No resource groups to display. Oh boy, 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 boy. Yep, that's how my day is going. So let's go over here. So it did creation complete. There's where it is. That's my subscription ID. I wonder if I'm signed in some other way. Well, we'll look at that in a minute. Yeah. Okay. Yep. We'll come back to that. Right now, though, we're just going to keep moving with this. All right. So we have our provider, we have a connection, and Terraform is reporting that we are creating our resource group. So the next thing that we need is we need an actual, we need two things, right? We need a Postgres server, and hey, freestyle coder, how are you on this grand day? I'm in the midst of creating a Hasura API GraphQL server and a Postgres server, getting it deployed to Azure at the moment. And fighting through a little bit of Terraform and the recent changes with the latest version right here live on the stream. Because why not do it live, right? And just figure out how all the broken stuff. So far, though, we got it working. We got a resource group added to Azure. I'm not sure which account I'm doing it under, which is why I assume it didn't show up on the portal page. But we're going to keep going with the whatever account I'm using. I'm going to keep going forward with it. Hope it has the correct permissions, and we're going to build this thing out. So the next thing I need to do is actually need to set up a Postgres server, and I'm going to use the Postgres service in Azure to do that, because their service is actually pretty badass. I'm a pretty big fan of Azure's Postgres service. They also have Citus, which gives you massive scalability with your Postgres. So let's move forward with that and get ourselves that resource put in here. So anyway, all right, got the resource group added. And in that resource group, I'm going to add the resource of Azure RM PostgreSQL server, like so. Okay, and we're going to call it our Terrazura server. I like to do that to designate versus the database, right? Because you got a database that's on the server or in the server, however you want to say it, and then you have the actual server running. Right now, we're just getting the server up and running. So got that. Then we'll give it a name. We'll call it our Terrazura server. That's name. Yeah, it's going to be the same as the Terraform resource name. Note the name equals TerraServer is the thing it will be called in Azure, and the one that's right after the resource type is the name of the resource in the state, the Terraform state. So, all right, we got our name, location. We're going to go with the Azure RM resource group dot. What did I call it? I think just Terrazura. Oh, let's call it group here, like that. Actually, that's a change. So let's do Terraform apply. Should delete that one, create a new one. Being busy with work and business is not a bad thing, I would think. Hey, Freestyle Coder, where is it you got that avatar? It reminds me of like an app, but I can't think of the name of the app. All right, we got that done. Let's add our server back, our location. So that looks good. And another thing I'm going to do, you'll notice when I type this, when I type the next one, resource group name. Okay, notice how it auto-completed based on some other arbitrary stuff in there. That it's like it tried to be smart, but it wasn't smart. It just auto-completed based on other junk I've typed in the file. So we're going to switch to IntelliJ here in just a second and use the HCL plugin in that because it introspects more effectively, just like most of the JetBrains products do. So I'm going to switch over to that just because it's a little nicer with the correct auto completion being given versus this random just junk I've typed in the file. But I'm going to finish working through it with this one. That's your resource group. Another prime example, like we'll type Azure. So it's got PostgreSQL server, and then it's got group, right? Because I've typed it before. So let's do group and then dot. And I got nothing, right? I have to start typing. So I'll do Terrazura group. Okay, again, thing I typed, and then dot, and there's like, I hit control space and it gives me some stuff, but it's mostly just stuff I've already, again, typed in other examples. So this is, I think, location and then name, right? So I'm going to save that real quick. And get status, whoops, get status. I'm going to add that. Whoa, I have that's a log file. Let's look at my get ignore. What's in here? TF state. Doesn't it have the lock file as a thing to not save? Let's do. Turn from run, do this. Huh. Okay, well, I'm just going to add one down here and do terraform.lock.hcl. Okay, and then git add. I always like to specifically add the ignore file when I add one like that. And then if I do git status, yeah, okay, just the main TF then. added provider, resource group, and first parts of the DB server resource. And push. All right, so that's up there now. And then I'm going to exit out of that. We're going to close code for now. And go back to this. I'm going to do an update real quick. This should just take a minute. And while I'm doing this little interlude, let's do this. Stream yard, stream desktop audio. All right, screen share. Oh, crap, that's what I got to do. Okay. Here, y'all are about to get music. So hold on one moment. Boom. And then it's your stop screen, screen share, this, and share. Oh, what? Oh, there's only certain things I can do it with. Share audio, application window. Oh, let's do this. Where is... Let's see, I'm going to do this. Oh, weird. Weird the way it shows it. Okay, so that's there. Let's see if I can do it this way. No, screen two. Share. You still don't have the audio, do you? Darn it. Yeah, no music still. Okay. Just going to try for another minute here real quick. See, because that's what it was, right? So StreamYard, stream desktop audio. Right, Chrome tab lets you share any file from the computer. Open a new tab. Entire screen shares the entire desktop. Lets you do this. Right. So your cursor displays a little plus sign if the action is successful. This is the best way to share audio from your screen. You must click the share audio button. Okay. Okay. I'm going to try that again. One more time here. So I need to share the thing when I get it open, though. So let me open IntelliJ, and then I'm just going to share IntelliJ, and theoretically, okay, it's starting right now, and then I'm going to share it. Damn it, it's sort of starting right now. Give me one more second here. Open it IntelliJ. This is a super annoying way for this to work. Okay, it doesn't show it yet. It's taking just a second more. Almost there, almost there. Oh, wonderful. Okay, well, we're going to go back to the entire window. Still no audio, so problems galore. But I did get this. This is beautiful. Let's try to open it again. Oops, codes. Terrazura. Come on, you can do it. Don't crash this time. Oh, that looks really nice, actually. That's what it'll actually look like on the website, maybe. That's pretty cool. All right, finally. Yeah, the problem is I don't have any of that hooked up right now, Digital Drummer. I got all that stuff in my office, but I just don't have it set up where I'm streaming at right at the moment. I will definitely have that set up soon. Oh yeah, so while you're here, one thing I will show you real quick. I did get it. I finally purchased it after a year of waiting for the specific one. I'm just gonna show you real quick because why not? Yeah, I know. I'll get StreamYard working better. All right, so I'm just gonna bring it into focus here. Let's see if the camera will focus correctly. You can already tell what it is, right? Yep. Sick. Super badass. Nice 7-string Solar. Got an Evertune. Oh yeah. Dual humbucker. Fretboard is sick. Look at that back there. It's just like neck through. You can just choke up on it and just scream the hell out of some shredding. Beautiful, beautiful guitar. So I'll be streaming a bunch of that in the coming weeks and days. Time to kick some ass with some proper metal instead of piped in stuff all the time. I already got like 10 pieces composed that I'm in the process of recording too. So yeah, gonna have good background music. Finally good background music. All right, so we're just gonna have to go with my voice and this stuff. All right, so Terrazura, we got it open in IntelliJ finally, which was kind of weird. It crashed a few times. There's these state files, which it shows grayed out or blued out based on this theme. And let's go into settings and actually get IntelliJ set up a little better for the stream here. Let's see your search, font, use custom font. Yeah, why not? Let's go with that. And let's go up to 18, apply. There we go. That's more readable. Not worried about that. And I don't really care about Dracula either. But one thing I do want to do is let's go to tools. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? No, what? My theme is gone. The hell, where are themes at now? I swear, I walk away for the computer for a week for Christmas break, and I get 8,000,001 different silly ass tweaks that don't make any sense. So let's is it themes? So there's this theme. I don't want to sync with OS. Where's the, oh, I bet that's what crashed too. Let's check that out. I like my theme for IntelliJ, so I want to see what's up. So I'm going to look up material. Is it disabled? It's installed. Well, where the heck do you change it? It's usually under here. There's usually a themes option. When everything changes. How unbelievably frustrating. Okay, and the white on black, or gray on white, or whatever it is there. That's a mess too. All right, well, anyway, this is fine for the moment. We are going to go in and go, let's see here. There we go. Update the icons, update the material theme. Why didn't it show that in macOS thing? E22 builder older. I wonder which one I have. Now I'm kind of confused about that. All right, but let's keep rolling here. Keep rolling. Come on, IntelliJ. Okay, I'm on 2020.3. Okay. Shared index always. Oh, sure. Let's always download and then let's reaffirm resigned. Oh, no, I don't. Do that later. There we go. There's my icons. That's what I was looking for. This is beautiful. And again, let's check real quick. Tools. Yeah, material theme. And now like darker theme. I can go to whatever I want. There we go. That changes. Let's go to Monakai today. Monakai. That's probably not how you say that. I don't know what I'm saying. All right. But anyway, we got our themes. Things are looking good now. We're going back in our main TF, and let's move on with, oh, criminy again, really? Okay. Go back to preferences. Oh, yeah, we'll update that stuff in a second. This, what the heck? Big data tools. Yeah, I want to do that. This stuff I'll need later, whatever. Yes. Oh, criminy. See, I updated macOS last night too, so I'm going to talk for a minute while this junk is happening. I updated macOS, and I should know better. I've been doing computers for so damn long. I know that I shouldn't be updating a version, but hey, it's the holidays, and I figured, what the hell, right? So I updated, and yeah. Restart again? Yes, restart. Okay. I wish I could get it to restart on this window. It always restarts on the other window. But anyway, the second dose, can you tell it's starting to kick in? I'm finally starting to talk at my normal speed. Come on, computer. There we go. All right, file pattern. I don't care right now. Whatever, log, frog, whatever. Oh, that looks good though. Looks looking good. Are you kidding me? Just get out of here. What I want though is I want font. Guess this. Jetbrains mono. Yeah, that's fine. But I want a console font. It needs to be 18. And then sure, update all. And then sorry, I know this is taking forever, but I want to make sure everybody can read this properly. Okay, so console font, and then I want general, that's Monakai, right? Editor. Okay, no, I want, damn it. Yeah, current editor, 18. Yeah, okay, there. Now we can restart again. Okay, so you've noticed all the stuff that's actually annoying about JetBrains products. It pretty much ends there, though. That's the annoying part that ends. Now it's just badass because it's going to give me the autocomplete I want now that I've played around with it for 10 minutes. All right, so here we go. And these things, what's your actions? Yeah, I don't really know what I want there right now. What is this fussing about? Missing required property name. Oh, yeah. So, okay, right off the bat, let's see here. Let's do I think it's option return, add properties and required elements. Okay, this is something that Visual Studio Code does not have. Let me balance this up to the appropriate size so you can see. So basically, I just clicked here on this resource and I hit, on Mac, it's Alt return. On Windows, it'd be like, I think Alt enter or something like that. And it gives you a little shortcut. It says add properties. And I say yes, because those are the required ones. And now the little squirrely line goes away. You notice it added it with an appropriate 2 spaces based on my convention too, which is nice. So I can do that. It goes to the appropriate spacing level. And I'm going to go ahead and clean up the file to be like I like it. Because you'll see the stuff copied too. That's pretty much the standard 2 space a lot of people are using these days for this. And I like to follow whoever or whatever's convention it is. I don't care if somebody's using tab spaces or whatever, but it can legitimately cause problems with your editor and other things and your code, depending on what language you use, language stack, etc. So if you're unflexible about that, you literally remove technology stack, languages, and other things from your options of use. I don't do that. So on that little shout out to not being tied to a particular dogmatic religious association to spaces or tabs, I'll continue with this. All right, so we got SKU name, version. The SKU name, I don't know what to tell you about this. You got to look them up. Azure's really weird about some of the SKUs. Like you have to know, and you have to go to the docs and look up what the thing is you want, because it's a specific like server that it'll put it on, like the VM spec and stuff. So it's Gen 5 2 that I'm using for this. Okay, that'll keep me at about $50 a month with this, and then the version. Oh, I want to do. Let's use 11. Actually, let's go crazy since I'm just being insane about versions. Let's go with 12. Okay, that's more close to the latest version, I believe. I think they're on 13 with Postgres. So we're going to go with version 12, and that should get us our server. However, those are the required elements. I actually want more. But before we go any further, let's hover over this and see what some of these things are fussing about. So typo in Word. It doesn't like my word. So let's do this. And then we're going to add Terrazura server. We're going to add, maybe add that. No, we're not going to add it because that is a weird word. But what's this say? This says something weird. Oh, Azure. Yeah, it doesn't like the spelling of that either. And it doesn't like this one probably. Terrazura group. So it is right. And this one looks like unresolved reference. Oh, that would cause a problem. So let's, oh yeah, because it's got an underscore and it doesn't need an underscore. Let's do this. Now, Terrazura resource group name. Oh, that's weird. Something is up. Terrazura group dot. Let's try this again. Resource group name. Azure. So this should be Azure resource group. It shows me the resource group. And then what I want, which is the name. Weird. It did it right that time. I must have had something else typed in there. So anyway, that's set. We're good there. So now let's get in here and get some of the nitty gritty bits in here. We want storage megabytes to be 120. So that's like 5 gigs, I believe is how that goes. Yeah. So that'll be fine for what we're doing. We're not putting a bunch of stuff in there right now. We need to set the backup retention days. I'm going to set that to 7. You can do that more or less, but keep in mind, this is something that you will end up paying for if you're not careful about it. Because beyond, I think, 7 days, it starts costing more money. And then there's also geo-redundant backup enabled. Something else that's very important for your Postgres server in Azure. Do you want a geographic redundant backup? I don't, because I don't want to pay for it. That would effectively double the price from what I understand. And then there's auto grow enabled. I'm going to say true. So it should bounce past whenever it's set to a particular size when I go past it with adding more and more data. Then my administrator login. I'm going to do a thing, even though I haven't set the variable up yet. I'm going to say variable username. I'm going to say administrator login password. And let's set that to var.password. But I don't have the variable set up yet. So let's do it the dirty way, and we'll say temp username. We'll go with temp password. Okay, version. Oh, I already did that version, and then I want to do what else? I want to turn SSL on. Enforcement enabled. Set that to true. I think I have. Let's see here. Backup retention, storage DB, geo redundant backup. Just going through, making sure I'm not missing anything. I feel like I'm missing something. I usually group, you know what it is? It's weird for me because usually when I'm creating this, I've grouped the version with this stuff down here. So I'm going to put that down here. It seems to make more sense to me in this grouping like this, because this is Azure specific stuff. This is database server specific stuff. This is database administration specific stuff, and SSL is kind of administration related, more like communication related. And then version is the version of the server. So now let's do something very, very important. Let's test. Do a Terraform plan. Source Postgres server, Terra server. What? Oh, needs a. Oh, we only got 11. We only can go to 11. So those are the versions that are available on Azure via their managed service. So Postgres is in a later version, like 12 or 13. But as far as what they offer, we're going to go with 11. Use the latest, greatest that they provide managed service for. All right, what do we got? We're going to destroy the group. Oh, that means everything will be destroyed and then recreated, then 2 added. Okay, so let's actually create it. And we'll start following a good workflow practice here as we do this. And we'll only be doing Terraform applies mostly, unless we really have to destroy something. But primarily, we'll stick to Terraform apply. All right. Crunch, 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 crunch. There we go. It's creating. Already exists. Oh, it didn't destroy correctly. Oh, freaking joy. Oh, I went and I've started trying to log in, so bear with me for just a minute here. And I'm going to get this figured out. Put up a video for just a second. I've been denied access. So hopefully I will have access here in just a minute. Bear with me. Again, working on it as fast as I can possibly go here. Click, click, click. 5,000 different ways to go into somewhere. Oh, God. I guess it stopped. So I just logged back in and I'm not, and I still don't see it. So I'm logged in as me. And I think I'm using these. Well, that's the group. probably giving you away secrets. So let's look to see. Oh, what is it? Let's see here. Azure CLI. Oh, that's what I need to do. I need to log out and log back in to see who I'm really doing this as. Let's exit out of here. Go back in here. We're going to do Azure log out. How am I doing any of this? I'm supposed to have the CLI installed. Oh, is it oh, the things you have to remember while you're in the middle of doing it. So let's see here. Azure CLI log out. I think it's AZS. Oh, AZ. Duh. Z log out. Z log in. Okay. That's what this is. Okay. So I'm going to move this then, and we're going to see where we're at with this stuff. Terraform. What does it say? It says nothing to destroy, but it says that a minute ago it said the thing is already there, right? So it destroyed this Terrazura group. Okay. I'm looking up now as I'm trying to figure out, what is it? Terraform, Azure RM, look up provider. Is it Terraform provider, Azure RM? Yeah. So using the CLI, yes, using the Azure CLI. Service principal. Oh, service principal. That's what I'm trying to look up. Azure RM, service principal. Check service principal Azure RM. Backend type, right? Nope. Let's see, AZ or Terraform. It's I think we'll just have to keep going forward because there's not a clear way to see what provider it's doing. And I just logged in with, I think, status here. AZ, let's see what it says. VM, web apps, service bus, managed bus. What I'm trying to do is figure out who it's logged in as and what resource management group I'm using to see why it's not showing up in the particular one that the particular portal that I think it should be showing up in. AZ list. Oh, okay. Be back after that after a while. Bit frustrating to say the least. And like if I go in here, your SQL database. No, let's go in here. Where do you find Postgres? Postgres. Yeah, so nothing's in there. Let's go to my other account. Nope, don't care. Okay. Anyway, so let's see here. The way that I can find out though is I have done this. I'm going to pull this up. Course, Zush, just RC. This kind of rages me a little bit because here's my Zush file, and if I scroll down here and show you all my secrets, here's my client secret and other connection information. So my subscription ID is this. Let's go look that up. So that's all my secrets. I'm going to have to change them now. But this is the way that you would want to troubleshoot your portal stuff. Portal, Azure, whatever. Let's go in here. This is the one that it should log in and work with. What was I just on? So overview, activity log. There we go. So that's what I'm doing. This is the right thing. So if I go down to, where was it? Resource groups, it shows nothing. Okay. How about resources? Nothing. So maybe everything is destroyed. Maybe there was a delay in the deletion of that other item. It's one of the things it's quite a bit frustrating about trying to do things like this. So this resource thing is kind of useless. But I know how to go and look now. So let's get back in here. And let's Terraform apply and try to get this stuff created again. There we go. So supposedly this group is being created and that database will be created. All right, completion created. Creating Postgres server, Terra server, blah, blah, blah. Failure sending request status code 400. And you see the message, password validation failed, password too short. Oh, okay, so that's easy enough to fix. Let's give it a good password. Temp password, this one is longer. All right, there we go. Now the server is getting created, and this should create this time. That's a big enough password for it to work. So while that's created, we'll talk about some of the next stuff I'm going to do. All right, so the basic things are there, but I want to, because I don't like the prospect of any passwords, even fake ones, going into a repo. It triggers stuff on GitHub, it triggers AWS, it triggers Azure, it triggers Google, and you'll get pings about your passwords even when they're fake, because nobody knows if they're fake or not. So I don't like those to go out there at all for any reason. So what I'm going to do is change the administrator login and the administrator password to variables that pull from the environment variables so that the username and password doesn't go into the repo. All right. So that's the next step of what we're doing. And the way we do that is a two-part process. First, we need to declare the variables. I'm going to do that in this file in the main TF. Oftentimes, you create your own file to do this with. and it'd just be like variables.tf, tf vars, etc. But I'm just going to put it right here in this one for this example. I'm going to declare a variable named username, and it's going to be of type string. I don't need to do that. I need to do string. And then variable password. And really, I don't need to put the type. It's going to default to string. So since it's defaulted, let's clean it up. Let's just do this. Then I'm going to come back up here. We have to wait till this finishes. Then we're going to destroy it. Let's go ahead and add. Let's see, what else do we want to add? We want to have an API port eventually, API port, so that we can specify the API port of the server that we want to access the Hasura console on in a moment. And then we are going to have the database server name. Okay, that'll be this database server name. So we'll call it server. And then we're going to have the database name, okay, which will be the actual database on the server. And then one more thing, so that we don't have to look in the console, because as you can see, it can be confusing going back and forth into the console sometimes. I'm going to put Hasura URI path, and then I will show you how I create this crazy thing. I'm going to set a value. The default value is going to be a concatenated interpolated string, and it looks like this. We'll take the Azure RM. All the pieces aren't there just yet, so we're going to put it in here. It will go here. So we'll get back to that in just a minute. Now, though, at 3 minutes, the database still isn't created in 3 minutes. Okay. But just as I showed a minute ago, pull up the terminal again. Oh, that's one way to check your subscription ID too. Your home tenant, here, this is your subscription ID. Azure calls it ID. The naming on this is pretty confusing, to say the least. So subscription ID is often called ID. Home tenant ID is called the app ID, I think. And these are the tenant IDs and the home tenant IDs. I don't know. It's very confusing. The documentation has it, and once you set it up once, you don't have to do it again. I'm going to post a link here real quick that will show you the important steps of all this stuff. Azure Provider. All right, pulling it up real quick here. It's not that one, I don't think. Yeah, here we go. So I wrote a blog entry about this because it's quite confusing, and I kind of went through the different documentation out there. I mentioned my LinkedIn Learning course for Terraform. It's not really available anymore because it's old version. And as you can see, when versions change, things change. So Terraform install, Azure CLI install, you have to have those things installed. This goes through the specific steps to get that stuff set up. Then you got to log in, just like you've seen me do. And then ID, tenant ID, I go through the details of what is related to what. And then I show you how to get all this stuff connected. So the link to that is right here. I'll put this in chat. There we go. And just specifically, here it is on screen. If you go there, you can check out all this stuff. It's got all the checklist. There's other parts. And I also talk about the environment variables, which I just showed you that I set up. You can set passwords, usernames, whatever in there to keep those out of your repo, because you don't want all these subscription IDs and stuff in there either. Now, of course, as you set this up, one thing that's very important to note is I'm setting it up to run on my local machine right here to deploy out to the cloud. If you need to set up a Bastion server, another server within your network or within your cloud network, like your VPC, you'll need to do that, and you'll need to have it have credentials. So you'll need like a vault or a secret storage of some type that's not environment variables, because you don't want to ship that out on your Bastion server and have your Bastion server sitting out there with a bunch of like plain text passwords and stuff. But it needs to have access to things to be able to access to deploy stuff. So that's how you would set that up, though. To go full production, you'd have a Bastion server or something else that would do the Terraform deployment. In the case of Azure, Azure actually has Terraform installed in the Azure Cloud Console or Cloud CLI tool that they have. And you can use that to set up and use their secrets vault to pull the secrets and have all of it stored out there. And you don't have to like transfer any of that stuff back and forth across the wire because it's in that environment already protected. And you can use that to do deployments to other resource groups and other things within the Azure cloud. Good stuff. All right. So with that covered, is it still not showing up in this one? Yeah. So I have to. Oh, there we go. So there, the Terra server finally shows up. I guess all resources. I guess resource groups don't count as all resources anymore. I'm a little confused about that. So this is the right subscription. Things just changed. Another thing changed. If I click on resource groups though, okay, it does show me this time. That's good. Click on that. And let's take a look at it real quick. There's that subscription ID that we just talked about. Here's the thing that's in the resource group. So if I create any other stuff in the resource group, it'll show up here. And this shows you all the other stuff, the IAM, access control management, etc., alerts, budgets for this thing, etc. So a whole bunch of stuff, pretty good stuff. I like how they organize things to some degree in Azure. Once you're familiar with it, it's actually pretty cool. And if you click on the Terra server, Postgres server, this is pretty slick. Again, this stuff, it talks about the basic things here. I got 2 vCores, kind of like ECUs or whatever. Here's the storage percent used and the CPU, so barely any storage. The CPU went down because things are running now. I'm gonna go back and let's see, while I'm showing you all this, I should kill this thing. So let's do Terraform destroy. Oh, wait, remove these. What does it say? Value is not expected here. Oh, right. So let's just do this. And this is actually supposed to be an output variable. Not variable, but output. Put value back and then put output. Now it's an output variable. So that's what I wanted that to be. So now let's do this again. And we'll do blah, 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 blah. But since I'm not doing anything with those variables yet, I just entered some junk just to get it to go ahead and go out and destroy everything, since everything is still statically set within the markdown up here, okay? So now I'm going to use the assigned ones once this is done destroying. We'll go back to the console, and even though you saw that it was kind of unreliable earlier, when I refresh it now, these things should eventually disappear. So I'm going to minimize that though. Go back over here. Hopefully that'll get done real soon. Still destroying. Of course it's still destroying. Okay. So I'm going to go up here though, and we'll start making some of these edits. So this is going to be var.username now. That it'll autocomplete because I have variables in there. I'm hitting control space. Come on, space. There it goes. Auto completes. I had to get it started there. Probably hasn't finished processing it or something. There we go. So everything's destroyed. These things are set now. So username and password is set. We do not have the API port added yet. The server, I want to put the server up here. So this is the var.server. And then what's the last one? Oh yeah, the database. We haven't added the database yet, so we'll do that in a minute. All right, so database isn't done, API port isn't done. So these two, I'm going to comment them out just for a second. And we'll come back to them when we're ready for them. Output can stay because it's already, it's pointed out. It's just going to spit that out for now. Okay, the next thing I need to do then is get the, oh yeah, we need to initialize as variables and set those. The way I like to do that is to create a bash script to do each of the specific things that I like to do. So let's see, do I have a bash file here? We'll just go with, whoops, cancel. Just give me a plain old file then. File, yep. And we'll call it, let's call it Terraform apply. Name it .sh. We'll get some nice, an icon, etc. Yes, update, spell check for it. Sure, that's great. And then we're going to do a destroy too. So I like to do the up and down steps of this. Terraform destroy shell. There we go. All right, I'm going to add that. All right. Okay, go mod. Why is that in here? I did not mean to create at least a Go project, so remove that. Please ignore whatever happened with that just now. And we're going to start with Terraform apply. So Terraform apply is going to look like this. This is just a script again. So, and we're working in the root directory, so we can just stay there. And we're going to do a Terraform apply. And then I'm going to go ahead and set it to auto approve. This is dangerous because now it will auto approve every time I do anything. Whenever I run this, it'll automatically apply, and I won't have to type yes when I do Terraform apply. So I'm going to do new line, do double space, and then set the first var, which will be set the server. We'll call the server name, what do we call it? Terrazura server. Like that. And then we want to do new line for the next variable. The next variable is going to be the username equals, and here I'm going to actually pull an environment variable and call it Postgres username. Okay, so now this is a script way to have that variable inserted into the script at time of execution of the script call. Okay, so when I run this file, I insert the environment variable into this file. Here, I'm going to call this Postgres password, like that. And then let's go ahead and add a database name. We'll call it Terrazura DB. And then let's go ahead and add our API port. We're going to do API port and set it to 8080. And that, I think, is all of our variables that we were going to set. Now for destroy, I'm going to copy that, go over here, basically do the same thing, and make two changes. I'm going to set destroy here. And because I like to be very specific about destroys, I'm going to set it, remove the auto apply so that it actually prompts me with confirmation of all the things that are going to be deleted before anything is actually destroyed in that process. All right, so these two things are set in my bash RC or my bash profile or my Zush file. In my case, it's in my Zush file, and I'll show it to you. I have to change all these darn passwords. And the way that is done is like this. I'm just going to pull it up. Zush RC. Scroll down. There's the Postgres username and Postgres password, like that. See, sassy password, Postgres, blah, blah, blah. It meets the length requirements and other criteria for that. And it'll take these environment variables and insert those into this. Now, it's only going to take those variables because those are my session environment variables. Now, keep in mind, if your IDE runs outside of your active session, it won't pick those up. So if I do echo, and this is the way you can confirm that that is available, P username, for example. There it is. So it's active. If I run this script file, and need those environment variables from this terminal, it'll pull up those environment variables. If it didn't show up here, it's not loaded into the particular terminal session, and you'd need to load those variables or set them in some other way. All right, so we got those bits done. So now we're pretty much set. I'm going to go ahead and put these two variables back. So even though they're not used, they are set, so it won't cause an error. When I did the destroy a little earlier, let's scroll up here and look at that, and you saw where I had to set them manually, the variables. So if they're not set via the script, you'll be initiated to enter them at the execution time in the CLI. So not really the greatest way to set the variables, but very effective if you're trying to run something and you just want to set something at runtime from the interface. All right, so the other thing that we need to do here on good old Linux here is we need a chmod 700 to make it executable. Let's do that one. I just totally messed up my password. Did it again. Okay. There we go. And then do the same for destroy. There we go. Okay, now also if you list it, you'll see them color coded differently. Usually, depending on your CLI, they'll color code differently. And they're also available in green here, which means they're available to be added to the Git commit. But I'm going to do a Terraform. Oh, Git, yes, thank you. Thank you. Terraform apply. And I'm going to execute that Terraform apply. So it's going to take those variables, insert those into there, and execute this. And we should get that whole database back. And we should just use applies from now on at this point. The next thing that I want to add now is going to be the actual database, I believe. So let's get the database added. Oh, excuse me. Resource. Azure RM Postgres database. And the other thing we're going to need is we're going to need a resource Azure RM Postgres firewall rule. Yes, I know that seems weird. I'll elaborate on that momentarily. Okay, so all the right pieces are in there. We're going to name this resource. What should we call it? We'll call it the Terrazura DB. And this is going to be the Terrazura firewall rule. We'll just call it rule. Okay, and then you'll notice there's the underline. So let's do Alt-Enter again. And see, no specific required stuff. That's kind of weird. This says add required properties, so I'll add those in there. We'll have to set those in a moment. Over here in this resource, though, there is stuff that should be required. I don't know why it doesn't show it as required. Maybe if I do it now. Huh. Is it here? Yeah, it's just fussing about the spelling. That's super weird. Anyway, there is some stuff that we need, though. We need the name of the database, for instance, var dot, let's go with database. That's going to be our database name. Then we're going to have a resource group that it needs to go in. I'm calling it wrong. Azure. Yeah, resource group name equals Azure RM resource group dot name. Okay. I feel like I'm missing something here. It should be giving me the autocomplete on that. But anyway, okay, we're going to just keep moving forward. Server name equals Azure. We want the server, then that server, and the name. So again, the format this goes in is the type, Azure PostgreSQL server. dot the actual object itself, Terrazura server, which we've designated up above, and then the property of that. So that's the order of those things. That's why there's always 3 parts: character set and ordering. This will be UTF 8. And then we're going to go collation. And it's going to be English. And yes, this is a very specific thing that you have to look up. 1252. Not really something you can memorize easily, but you'd have to look it up to know that that is what it is. But I know what it is, so we're all set, and we're ready to now set up the firewall rule. Now, the reason we set up the firewall rule right now is because when I launch the container is going to have to talk to, that is, the container that runs the Hasura API GraphQL server will need to talk to the database to open up the database, because it's in its own network, in its own environment, so that it can't be talked to. Like, we can go in the portal and we can mess with it, we can see it, but we need to be able to connect to it. And for other things within the Azure system to be able to connect to the database, we have to open up the firewall to other parts of Azure to have those things connect to this database resource. And that's how we do this with this firewall rule. So the rule is pretty simple. Let's see, we need a start and end IP address. Okay, that's these. All right. And they're just Z, 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 Z. And then Z, 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 Z. No L. Then we name it. I'm just going to call it, let's call it allow Azure internal. Then resource group name. Guess what? It's the Azure resource group, our resource group, and then name again. And then server name is the Azure server that we've got created. That's it, Terrazura. And then we're going to go with name there too. So now it knows what to associate the firewall rule with. This database is going to be created inside of the server, and we should be all set there. Again, let's scroll up. Here's our Hasura URI path. It will go here. You can see it displaying that out to us. And I'll show you what I'm going to use it for. It's kind of like a trick in some ways. Is I'm going to have it concatenate together the path we need to go to in the browser with the API port so that we can navigate to the Hasura console interface to do our next stages of things. And I'll show you how to do a little bit of securing that too, so it's not wide open. But it'll get us started without having to go back into the Azure portal anymore. All right, so that's there. Oh, let's see here. What next step? Let me think. Okay, I think that's it. We're going to do Terraform apply. Oh, what's it? Okay, what did we do wrong? You must start with a letter or underscore and may contain only letters. Did I? Oh, there's a space in there. I've fat fingered it. Where is it? Wait, what did it say it was in? It was in the Terrazura Azure Postgres database. Where is that at? Line 36. Oh, there it is. Yeah, no spaces in there. What are you doing? What are you doing? All right. Get the apply happening. And you should just see it zip through now, or we'll see it zip through, because there is no apply really to happen. All right, if anybody has any questions, by the way, while I go through all this stuff, please do ask. Do not hesitate. Again, thanks to Microsoft for sponsoring the stream today and providing us resources to deploy our environment to and our database to. And of course, always big shout out to Hasura. They are an awesome company that I work for that creates an awesome GraphQL API product, and the respective tooling that goes around that runs on Postgres. You're going to see more about that real soon. on this stream, not like tomorrow, just in a little bit. And then, of course, the repo we're working with is this repo, just as a quick reminder there. And in the next part of the stream, coming up very soon, you would want the Hasura CLI installation steps are right there at that blog entry that I put together with a few extra tips for you. So check that out. And we'll get going there in just a second. But right now, we've almost got everything done here in our Terraform. So we have a repeatable, deployable environment. We've got our database. We have our database server where the database goes in, obviously, because, you know, where else would you put your database if you didn't have a database server? All that is good and done. The next thing that we need now, though, is the API server. So this is not an entirely difficult part. I say that now, knowing how my luck has been going today. I will probably break something by mismatching some server API version, something. But anyway, let's get into that. So to do this, we're going to have another resource. And in that resource, Azure RM, what is it called? RM container group? No. Is it? Yes, that's what it is. It's got to be group, okay? And then I'm going to call it Hasura API. No, Hasura Graph. Actually, let's just call it the Hasura. Yeah, that'll work. There we go. And then now, okay, it's telling me I have some required things. Alt-Enter again, and I'm going to add the properties. Boom, it added them for me. The container part's going to be very important. But right now, we're going to get our location, which is going to be based off of our resource group because we want it to be in the same place as the resource group. Name is going to be, well, we're just going to call it, let's see here, Terrazura, Hasura API, that's what we're going to call it. OS type is going to be Linux because, you serious? Like, is that even a question? Obviously, it's going to be Linux. Any reasonable thing in a container runs in Linux. Yep, I said that. I did say that. Again, anything reasonable running in a container runs on Linux. All right, resource group name. And I'm not always much for axioms of that type, but seriously, Azure RM resource group, our resource group. Then we're gonna get our name in there. And let's see, what else we want? Oh, we want to do a public IP address. So this one isn't required, but we want it in there. We're going to put public. And then we're going to do a DNS name label. And we'll call it the Terrazura data layer. Okay. And I think that's it for that. So now we need to get into our container business. And there's some more required. So Alt-Enter, add the properties. Thanks Jetbrains and IntelliJ plus the HCL plugin. That's HashiCorp configuration language. So CPU, let's put CPU at 0.5, so half a CPU for this one. Doesn't need a whole lot, especially for what we're going to do. Then I'm going to put Hasura GraphQL engine. This is the name of the image that's actually out there on Docker Hub. I'm going to go with 3.3. I think that's the one I want, unless something has changed in the last, hot 10 minutes, which I wouldn't doubt. I mean, I seem to be behind on this stream for some reason, but it's pretty much the latest and greatest as far as I know. We will have a new version out pretty soon, though, so don't get too set in your ways. We've got great new additions coming, plus MySQL support and all sorts of things coming with Hasura. So if you're interested in that, be sure to check it out. So let's see our name. What do I want to call this thing? I'm just going to call it the Hasura Data Layer API. That seems like a bunch of combination of words that work for this. So, and then ports. We're going to need a port open. And you're going to see, very important thing here now, var API port. That's that variable that we set earlier, set to 8080. So it will display on 8080. We're going to set that to use TCP. Almost there, almost there. Let's hear what else we got. Ports, we need to, environment variables. We need environment variables to be set. And we have two specific environment variables. We have Hasura GraphQL server port, okay, which is again var.api port. Okay, so that the first one is opening the container port on the container networking. The second one is letting the Hasura server know that it's going to provide responses to requests via the API port. Okay, and then the next one is Hasura GraphQL enable console. And right now, initially, we're going to set it to true. Okay, emphasis on initially. And then the next thing down here, we're going to do secure environment variables. Okay, and we're going to call this Hasura GraphQL database URL. And this one is going to be our connection. So now this sucker is going to be crazy. Okay, so I've copied this down just for safety's sake so that I don't ever mess up the syntax. But I'm going to try to type it out initially so we can talk through what the heck is going on here. We need the connection string. We're going to use the URL connection string here. And the way to do that is to start with, very simply, it's going to be a string. And then Postgres, okay, // Now, we want to interpolate. Is it interpolate? I guess interpolate and concatenate various strings and such together to get what we need. We need to use the old style of $ open braces var.username. Okay, that is the Terraform username that we set in the variables. Okay, and then we need to use this as our @ symbol. Okay, because that's what Postgres will see as an @ symbol when it's in line for this part of the URI, because this is a URI within a URI, or URL within a URL, whatever you want to call it. So our next thing, though, is another variable, and it's going to be the Azure RM, and we get a little, fortunately, we get a little casing here. Whoops, Terrazura name. Okay, so that variable is in there. And then we need a colon and the next variable, which is going to be var.password. Okay, as you can see, this is why it's a secret. Now, at next variable, this is going to be the Azure server. And that's going to be the fully qualified domain name is what we want there. Okay, then the Postgres port, which is 5432, / the name of the database we want to connect to. In that case, we do var database again. And that should be it. So I'm going to go with it and hope that that's it. Hope that I didn't mess it up any. It's pretty nice that most of these things are just variables that are interpolated or concatenated together from the rest of the main.tf file that we put together or passed in via the script. So being that, the only part we can really mess up is this little bit here, the things that are concatenated into the different, between the variable there. And that's just to make sure that it's the appropriate Postgres URL connection string. All right, whew. That one's kind of a beast. So now let's add a tag to this. This isn't particularly required, but I like to add tags just to identify things. So when you have a lot of stuff to manage inside of your Azure environment, you can tag and then more easily search for things in this way. I'm going to call this environment a data layer. Okay. Okay. Do I have everything? Nope. One last little tidbit. This is important. So I have the container, I have the database, and I want that stuff concatenated together in the way that I'll be able to navigate to it using this output variable. So here we're going to take a variable and go, whoops, Azure container group, And yep, the Hasura one, we're going to take the fully qualified domain name again. Then we're going to stick the port on the end of it. So pretty simple compared to that other beast of a concatenated variable. So that'll spit out, and we can just navigate to that and see the console once all of this is created. Right? So we are literally on the verge of having ourselves an active server. So let's apply. Oops, tags. Don't like tags. What? Did I put it? Oh, I didn't put it out far enough. I need to put it there. Does that seem right to you? Because this is, whoops. This one goes to, yeah, that goes to the container. Oh, it's yeah, okay, that's correct. So it's tags the environment, then should be all done. Let's apply it. All right, keep your fingers crossed. Hopefully I did not fat finger any of that, but we are about to find out in full force running against the production environment. Oh, magic is happening. Yes, indeed. All right, making progress, making progress. So now that that's running, our console should be available here in just a moment or two. When it is available, we're going to navigate out. We're going to take a look at that. Then I'm going to take a quick bio break, and then we'll jump right back in, just like 2 minutes after that. It's just going to take like 2 minutes because I am chomping at the bit to get the rest of this done, and get our database actually put together. We're going to have this thing, and also, like, if you want to, you can go to this database and check it out, the console, and check it out. The one that I'm showing you right now is literally available at the moment that this says it's created. So that's going to be pretty cool. So while this creates, I'm going to take a bio break. I will be back in about 2 minutes. So just going to let that run and see you in 2 minutes. So looks like we have it available to us. So let's grab that path. And let's see where we get, huh? Are we going to have success? Is this going to be successful? Boom. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Bam. Yep. API server. So we're basically done. We have a deployed Hasura console API server out there. I've showed you how to put together all the things that you need, the database server, etc. But let's not stop there. This could just be fake, right? I mean, I might have faked y'all out, right? No. I wouldn't do that shit. That's against my code of conduct. So let's get in here and let's do something real quick. So we have these basic default schemas, and you know the database has to be there if we create a schema, right? Obviously. So let's create one. Say create, and we're going to call this Terrazura, and then hit create. Did it work? That's the schema we're in. But hey, that's nice. Let's one more thing, right? Let's create a table. Let's call it delete me soon. We'll call it ID. It's UUID. And then let's do unique, just name and text. All right, that's enough. Oh wait, we need a primary key. That's enough to create. And boom. There we go. There's the table. We can even let's do this. Let's call it cheese, and then we'll give it a dumb thing. We'll just call it actually it might break because it's not a GUID. Let's see what happens. Oh, invalid input, not a good UUID. So let's do this UUID. And we'll go out here and we'll here's a generator. There's always a generator out on the web somewhere. I'm going to copy that UUID. We'll put that in here and then insert again. Boom, look at that. It is in our database. So now we know we have a database. It is connected to the Hasura GraphQL API server. It has data in it. It has a table in it. It has a schema that has that table in it. So bam, we are live and working. Now, of course, I can delete all of this easily with just a simple Terraform destroy, which in my script lib here is just this file. Boom, run that and it will delete everything. So then I'm not paying the $50 a month. I just spool this sucker up when I need it, bammo, bammo, and then tear it back down when I don't need it anymore. Keep in mind though, it does destroy the database every single time. So if you put stuff in the database, it won't be there when you go back to it. This is just doing the infrastructure. It's infrastructure as code. It's based on the principle of immutability of infrastructure, thing that HashiCorp kind of pushes. It's kind of their mantra. And it's a good way to build infrastructure because you're always additively, either you're adding infrastructure, you're not mutating infrastructure. So you either add infrastructure or you delete infrastructure, and that's it. Concept of immutability. You see it in functional programming. You see it in database schema migrations, which we're going to get into here in just a hot second with the Hasura CLI. All right, so all that stuff is there right where we need it. We don't really have the next bits to do except to get into the actual next bits. Like, I don't really want this though. So let's go in here and let's, shall we delete this soon? Let's do, you know, it won't, if I do schema migrations, I haven't added this to this schema migration, so it's kind of irrelevant. Now, you right now can go to this path. Like if I pasted this in chat, you could go to this path and actually hit my server and do stuff like add data and stuff. I don't want you to be able to do that. Sorry. So what am I going to do? I'm going to actually go back to my IntelliJ IDE here. Oh, the tab won't let me go to it. There it is. Where in the heck did it go? Like minimized it or something and can't get back into it now. There we go. Okay. Okay, what I'm going to do is go into main, and then I'm going to scroll to Hasura GraphQL enable console, and I'm going to turn off that environment variable, setting it to false. Okay. Now, let's do a Terraform apply again. Hopefully this won't take too long. But this path, it'll no longer be available there. But I'm going to show you how to work with the console against your Hasura API GraphQL server without having the console turned on the actual live API GraphQL server. That's the next trick. So I turned it off via the environment variable. right there. Whether if you're ever doing this outside of a fully deployed environment like this, in the Hasura cloud, you can set an environment variable in that in the portal, and most things will let you change this environment variable very easily. And that's all you got to do is just change this environment variable, and boom, the console is not up there anymore. People can't go in and just easily tweak your data and everything. All right, so that'll take a minute or two, I suppose, and we'll let it do that. So let's see, what did it actually do? Let's check just to be sure. So it destroyed the group. Refreshing state, refreshing state, refreshing state. It's destroying the group. So since it destroyed the group, it's probably going to destroy everything. So that was a very destructive change, I bet. Yep, so let's see here. So now if I take this and I try to go out to the site, I'm going to get zilch, right? Yep, not available. It just gives me that dead end, okay? But remember this path. This path is still important. We're going to keep it right there, right in our face. And what we're going to do is we're going to type Hasura init. Yes, that's right. Only those two things. In our directory, make sure you're in the project directory, okay? Hasura init, check for update. It found a new beta, but I don't really want to do that just yet. Whoops, I broke it. Let me do it again. Hasura init. I'm actually, I used the delete key, the wrong delete key on my keyboard. I have one of these keyboards, right? So like I used the delete key with the delete button versus the other one. I don't know what happened, but anyway, put in all that fata code or whatever. But I did it right this time, and I'm going to call it the migrations directory. That's what I'm going to call it. That's all I'm going to call it. Okay, so now if I click up here, it'll refresh it. There it is. So there's my migrations directory. I have some files in here, and I have a config YAML file. This, I'm going to go ahead and immediately change to this and have the endpoint changed to this. Okay. Oh, let's get the good stuff added. I think is that yeah, I definitely want that. Here we go. Oh, I just added in the wrong spot. I didn't know where I was adding it. There we go. Okay, so now that's pointed at the right direction. So now when we use the Hasura CLI commands to do our migrations, which we will do here in just a minute, they'll actually be pointed at the live Azure deployment of the Hasura server. So let's get that done, right? Get status. I'm going to just take a look at it. We need to add some stuff here. We did not have our appropriate things here. We do not want the Mac file, and we don't want the IDEA directory because that's for the IDE. This IDE specifically, the Jetbrains IDEs. All the Jetbrains IDEs all have this directory. You don't need it unless you want to share your settings and stuff with your team or something like that. So look into that if you want to do it. I'm not sharing this with my team. I just want my settings for me. So I'm going to remove that from there. All right, so now get status again. I'm going to add the get ignore. Go ahead and latest file ignores. Shoot. Let me tell you too, the pretzel has some dramatically improved tunes now. I'm very impressed. And I too will be adding music to Pretzel if you want to get a Pretzel account and have it not like DMCA you on YouTube and stuff. I know you can't hear it, but just wanted to give them a shout out because I will be using Pretzel on stream in the future. Okay, cool beans. You got that going on? Other bits? Yep. Okay. Completed Terraform, deployed to Azure, adding migrations. Boom. Okay. Good, all that good stuff. So real quick conversation about some things here. So in this directory structure, you have migrations, metadata, migrations, seeds. Seeds are files that you use to write SQL to insert some initial data in there. This is great for something like if you have, say, the 50 states for dropdowns or something, and you just want those added in every single time, put it in the seeds. If you want to go in migrations, this is where you'll see all the migrations as we create those. We'll talk about that more in a minute. Metadata. This is pertinent to the Hasura server itself because it can connect to remote GraphQL endpoints. It can connect to other sources and have relationships drawn between the data that's available there and the data that's in your database. So there's more relationships and more connectivity between data that the database itself, the Postgres server, would not store. So it's very important, this metadata to the Hasura server and the GraphQL entities and the correlations between the different entities that you have when you're writing GraphQL queries, mutations, and things like that. So a lot more is added via the metadata. And again, I'll touch on that just a little bit. But right now, we're just getting into migrations so that we can build ourselves out a database schema, get that into a state that's repeatable so we can redeploy it as much as we need to, just like we can redeploy our actual infrastructure. All right. So the easiest way to do this is like this. You are going to trip out. If I go into here and then go into my migrations directory so that I can use the config.yaml as a pointer for the CLI, and now type Hasura console, the Hasura CLI is going to launch the Hasura console like this, and it's going to open up a locally running Hasura console that can make changes against the API endpoint that's out there on the public server. And that is what I'm going to do here. So somewhere, this just launched. There we go. Uh-oh. Oh, do I need to prospectively. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Hasura update. Ah, there we go. Hasura update CLI. So So, you know, this might be related to some goof here. Let's go in here and let's actually we'll go ahead and you should be able to turn this down, but it looks like I have some type of connectivity issue. So I'm going to actually set that to true. I'm going to redeploy, turn it back on basically. I shouldn't have to do this, but I think it'll be the easiest way to move forward with this little tweak. Apply that. Okay, so that should update to true, and then I should be able to get a Hasura console to come up. Again, that's not how I should have to hook it up, but I have to run it from the correct directory. There we go. Weird that it took that long for it to time out and tell me that. All right, so cooking along now. Okay. Yeah, progress. Probably going to take another 2 minutes. Dad, burn it. Now, the other way that this works, and I have a blog entry on it, which is kind of good in outlining how you would break up the two environments, your production and then your local development. Your local development would be running against localhost. You'd have a config.yaml that would point at that. Okay, that's the only thing that you would do migrations, or you would do local migrations to that. And then as you move to production, you'd set up an automation that would run the migrations for you, that would have access to things on the Hasura server, but you wouldn't specifically have access to them yourself. So that's one of the options there. Now let's get in here. Let's try this again. Oh, whoops. Oh, biggie. Just get back into the directory so it knows where the config.yaml is. And here we go. This is exceedingly frustrating. I wonder what the error will be, though. This is life of live coding on Twitch streams, though. It should have started already. Something is amiss. What is going on? That is the big, big question. IO timeout. Failed to get version from server. Okay, something is just up then. So I've just clicked on this to see if I can get anything. And I should get, oh, what? It's not even, same. Oh, weird. What is up with that? So it's like, oh, let's do this. Let's get in here and let's do this. Maybe. Okay, let's do this then. We are going to get to the bottom of this. This is not, something is up. Oh, I bet I know what it is. Is it seriously? Ah, shoot. Oh, yeah, because we don't have SSL set up for the API server. We only have SSL set up for the Postgres. That's our problem. So let's actually get rid of this. Okay. For the moment. We would have to fix this in the future whenever we're going live with the production. So then we can go back in here, though, and set this up correctly so that this is false. I don't want that live. Back to terminal. Then we're going to go with Terraform apply. All right. And that'll get us to the next stage here. All right. And then while that's running, I'm going to actually get rid of that. That doesn't need to be open. I'm going to try a thing. I'm not. I just keep waiting for it to finish. So this will be done in a minute. Again, thanks to Microsoft for sponsoring the stream today. I greatly appreciate that. I'm going to offer some codes here in just a minute. Matter of fact, to anyone who just joined, I'm going to post a code right now. Here's where you go to basically use that code to get the swag that you want. So let's get into this. What is the code? What is the code? I'm going to post it in the chat here in about 10 seconds. I'm trying to find what I did with it. There we go. So here is the first code to the person in chat. Code. Boom. So navigate over to stores.codesdesign Azure Swag-T3. Put in that code and you can get yourself some swag. So again, there is the code. And there is the URI. So get over there, get yourself some swag. All right. Enough of that. More swag later, though, so don't think that's the end of that. All right. Let's save my config and put a note in there. SSL is not currently set up at first. Fix this for future reference. That up there. And now, if I go into migrations, get started with that part. Console. There we go. Okay, so that's running at localhost 9695. So if I navigate out there, boom, there we go. Now it's got this other junk in here, right? No biggie, not a big deal at all. But I want to go over to data. And as I use this interface, it's going to save all the changes I make. So first things first, I'm going to navigate to Terrazura. And I'm going to actually delete this schema. No, actually, I'm going to wait because that'll mess up and add a migration that I do not want. Emphasis, migrations are also immutable and additive. So you can only add or you can only delete. Can't be doing updates and a bunch of weird stuff in between. It needs to be clean additions, clean inserts, or clean drops. And that's it. That's how migrations work. So stay focused on them working that way for you, and life will be super easy and groovy. All right, so I want to create a schema is what I actually want to do. So let's hit create, and we'll call it, let's see here. What should I call it? What should I call it? Oh, thinking. I'm brain dead at the moment. Let's call it think of something here in a second. Let's call it note taker. No, let's call it. Oh, let's call it data collector or collectors. Data source collector. Let's call it source collector. Source collector. There we go. Now, let's take a look in IntelliJ and note migrations now has a migration in it. The up is create schema, source collector. The down is cascade down, okay? So let's change the dialect in our IDE to global dialect of Postgres. And then we'll do project dialect of Postgres. Okay. And then data source. We are not going to mess with that. Well, we'll just leave it alone. But it's good for now. So it knows that we're writing and should check for PSQL, Postgres SQL. All right, so let's get back over here. Let's add a table. Let's start with something that would give us the ability to have very elaborate actions based on a particular data source. Okay, now let's imagine that the data source is something like an FTP location or something like that that might have a database in it, or an Excel file or a CSV file or something like that. And the idea would be you want to be able to call an action that'll be triggered to do a certain thing with a particular schema and a particular knowledge or setup of what the data is in that particular source to pull that in or take action on the data. So that's basically the idea. So I'm going to create a schema around that idea. And I'm going to start with just the schema and formatter. So let's create tables for that. Go with schema, and this will have an ID. And note my casing, okay? If you want to read more about casing, I got some great blog entries on name casing conventions, a little bit of quick comparison, and then why and what for with the database, which explains why I'm using the convention that I am around casing that you see right now, and see some of the weird disparate casing and conventions I've used throughout this. It's because different pieces of the stack require different stuff because of a whole slew of reasoning. But anyway, let's get back to our schema creation here. So ID, UUID, we're going to go with generate random UUID, like that, set unique. Then the next thing that I'm going to want is a stamp. We'll go with time stamp here. And then we'll set this to now. So it pulls the timestamp of the moment whenever the data is entered. Now we want to have a schema. I'm going to call it schema map. And this is going to be kind of open-ended JSON B. Okay. And it is going to be, it's going to be unique, but I don't need it to be, I don't think I need a unique index on it, or do I? I may need to search elements of it, and I may need an index on it. I'll look into that, and maybe we'll add it, maybe we won't. But this is the basics of schema at the moment. The ID is going to be, or the primary key is going to be the ID. No other particular constraints at the moment, and I'm going to add that table. So that will store our schemas. And let's add another table. And we'll go with formatter. It's a good name for it. It's UUID. Again, generate random UUID. Now your browser is supposed to actually autocomplete that for you. I think my browser is breaking something on the interface. But generally, you get that autocomplete for the default value there, which is really handy. So again, I'm going to add a stamp. I'm going to go with a timestamp. Go with now again. Whoops. See there, it did it there for me just fine. And then we're going to have formatter map, and that's going to be JSON B2. I don't know if it doesn't particularly need to be JSON B probably, but that's what I'm going with for the moment. Okay, and then one other thing. Whoops, I didn't add the primary key, so let's add the primary key. There we go. Now we can add the table. Then the next step here is we want to add the action. Action. Actually, let's call it activity. Okay. ID, UUID again. Generate random UUID. Set that to unique. And then let's do another stamp. Certain default columns I always like to have, and that's one of them, is timestamp. I like to know the last change that was made to it. So whenever there's an update or an insert, you get that current stamp. And then we'll call this activity. And it's going to be JSON to, I'm not going to have any default value. Actually, I guess we could do this, right? open, close, and then this, because that's a basic empty JSON object. So I got a unique key, primary key. I'm going to add that table. Oops. Oh, no, it doesn't like it. Okay. So maybe object, well, I'll just try again. We'll have no default value at this time. Okay, there we go. So we got 3 tables: activity, formatter, and schema. And those need connected in some way. They need correlated to other things and the sources that we would add into the database, right? As we collect these sources of data. So I'm going to actually go over here though and use dbdiagram, a little tool I like to use. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to click on, oh, look, there is one of the schemas I have. But let's do with new diagram. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add the 3 columns via the cheat that I already have, and get a move on here. Let's see here. I have these bits, as you can see. So this is the stuff we just added. Whoops. Didn't add it all. Oh yeah, I just changed this. I changed activity to activity. I like activity better because Hasura has actions. I don't really want the naming to conflict to that. So what we have here is, let's show the connection here, and then source would be the actual URI where this stuff is connected to, or located at, I should say. And then we'll have the formatter, we'll have the activity, and then we'll have the schema. And then the source will have some notes about it, possibly, and a particular note jot. So the source, as you can see here by the connection table, can have one or many formatter activities and schemas, or a schema activity or formatter can have many sources per each direction of that relationship. So one thing I can do now is come in here and say, all right, give me the Postgres. And then I'm going to go look at this for the thing I just created. So I've already created via migrations the activity, okay, and the schema, and some other things. And then here's the relationships down here. But let's go through, and I'm going to actually create each one by hand just to show how it goes. But I'm going to use this as a reference map, okay? So I'm going to make it available to basically everybody, I believe. Let's see here, copy diagram link, there we go. And you can bounce in here and see that diagram right there, okay? And I'll post it in chat too. There you go. Okay, now what I need next is the, let's get this off screen. No diagram. Whoops. All right, so we're going to do connection now. And this is going to have an ID. UID, generate random UID, unique, then stamp. Call it a timestamp. Go with that default one. And then we're going to have action ID, which will, or let's call it activity ID, I mean. ID. It's going to be a UUID. The relationship, you'll note, is not drawn yet. And we'll have a source ID, same thing. And the connection not drawn. We need the ID, primary key. We'll add that. All right. So now, though, we can go into activity. And if we go look at the migrations, you'll see the migrations are here. But each of these steps should be added specifically as a migration in a particular order and everything. So here's where the source connection is made. The keys are not related yet, but we'll go in and we'll now draw up the specific relationships. Let's do modify. We're going to add a new column. And let's see here. This is, what am I in? I'm in activity, right? Activity doesn't need a new column, but let's see here. Schema needs one. So let's do this and add column. We'll call it connection ID, UID. There's no data in there, so I can take nullable off. It will be required then. And I'm going to save it. There we go. Then close. And then I'm going to add a foreign key. Go with connection. We'll go with ID. Whoops, ID. ID. And let's see, that should work. There we go. So now if we go back here, the scroll is weird. Anyway, there we go. So the constraint is added to connection table, foreign key connection ID, schema connection ID, foreign key, and you see references there to what it actually connects to. All right, so making good progress. Let's get into formatter, modify table, add new column. We're going to call this one the connection ID also. It's going to be the same type of setup. Nullable off, since we don't have any data in there, we can do that. If there's data, it'd have to add it by default as null because it couldn't add stuff in there. So what did it? Oh, there we go. And connection. We're going to go with connection ID, ID, save that. All right, so then all those are set. We can go back here. We can go to modify activity source. So activity is the one that we need to connect now. We're going to look at foreign keys, source connector, activity. Now we can do activity ID and ID. All right, so now relationships, let's add this one, save, and add this one, save. And let's add the object relationship, save that one. All right, so all those things are added. So now in the GraphQL, we'll be able to get object relationships and array relationships when we do our queries. Go here, go to relationships, let's add this one, like so, and then formatter, relationships, add, save. Now here's the note with this, okay? So some of this stuff is added in the migrations because it's stored in the Postgres database, such as the actual constraint itself between the two tables. However, the metadata now holds various things, such as, let's see here, query collections, should we, let's just open it as that text. Oh, I'm confused. It's not in there just yet. Okay, we're going to keep moving along. All right, so it's in there. And that is in there. Activity should be in there. Just looked at that. And then schema. Yep, okay, good. Oh, and let's add this one. Save. Okay, I think that's all kosher. Okay, so now we have a few more we need to add here. All right, so add table and get the next table going on here. So we're going to add the actual source table now. ID again, UUID, oops, UID. generate random UUID, unique. Then we're going to add a stamp, just like the other tables. Whoops, now the name, text. Then let's see here, URI. That's going to be text for now. And it is going to be unique. We do not want the same one in there. Details, it's just going to be some extra text for whatever reason. This one is going to be nullable. We don't have to add it. Primary key is ID. Let's see your unique keys. Yeah, those are good. That's what we want. Okay, and then let's see here. Oh yeah, let's add foreign key. Look back at connection. We're going to go with ID here, and then source ID, because we're adding the source table finally. Let's save, add the table. Oh, we'll come back to that. Let's remove that one then. There we go. Okay, so source, relationships, modify. Let's go to connection and then add that. Modify, foreign key. We'll add this to source. And then that will go source ID to ID. I believe that should get it. There we go. Yeah, foreign key saved. All right, I just had to do it in the right order. That's an important thing with relationships. You have to add them in the right order, etc. If you run into an error, you're just adding it out of order probably. So now let's add source notes. We'll go with source. This is going to be a many-to-many table, so we'll go with source ID, UUID. Oops, we don't need that here. And we'll want notes ID, UUID here, because it's going to connect to tables. And then in case we want to, we'll have details. Probably won't use that field, but what the heck, it doesn't hurt to have it. And then a stamp, good old timestamp, my favorite extra add-on. Okay, so then the primary key is going to be 2 columns. We have 2 candidate key columns, so it's going to end up being a composite key of source and notes IDs, like so. And then we're going to add the table. Okay, then let's add a foreign key. And we'll go back to source. And this will have source ID pointed to the ID. There we go. Cool. So now we're going to add another table, and we're going to call this note jot. Because note is a reserved word, we won't use that, but it's basically a notes table. And there'll be many related to the actual links we connect. So we can connect a lot of notes we take to the source of data that we collect. So once we add a source, we can then add activities. So it knows how we can write a functional application that knows how to go get data from that source, and we can write notes about that source here also. So this is ID, it's unique, stamp, because my favorite column. Now, then note ID, UID, and then details. It's going to be the actual note itself. And maybe we'll add some stuff later in the future, but right now that's all we need. I'm going to go ahead and add the source notes relationship. So note ID, and then notes ID, ID. Oh, yes, I didn't explain this specifically. So note ID relates ID back, so we can have our notes related to sources, have many of them, and we can have them related in a way where we can organize them in a tree-like structure. So that's our first relationship. And then we're going to add another one. And we're going to do it back to our self. Let's see here. Oh, that's right, reference. Let's see here. I'm not sure how to do that in the interface. So we'll come back to that one in just a second. Primary key ID, source notes ID. Okay, so we got that. Let's go ahead and remove this one, and then we'll add this. Oh, does it, what? Okay, let's remove this real quick. Does it exist right here? Oh, whoops. That's not a thing. And then this should work. Source notes. We're going to go ID, notes ID. Is that right? Yep, notes ID. Okay. Let's try that. Okay, let's not do the key just yet. There we go. Okay. So that's in. So let's go back to note jot, and then let's modify these things. Well, let's look at this first. Source, relationships. Let's add that one. We're going to add this one. And then source notes, relationships, add that one. Okay. So source, and then note jot. Cool. And now we're going to add a foreign key. There we go. So note jot is back in there now. So now we can relate it to ourselves from, actually, we want to go from ID to ID like that. There we go. And then let's add another one. We're going to reference it to the actual source table here for source notes, so we can have many notes per source. Whoops, that's not what I want. I'm not on the notes ID. There we go. So that connects us to our many-to-many table, or did I do that backwards? So unique constraint matching given this. Okay, well, maybe I just need to, let's add these, then we can putz around with it. So that does it for itself. Oh, and then I need to go to source notes. Then let's add, yeah, okay, let's add it here. There we go. This should be the correct direction then. So we'll add note jot, and notes ID will be pointed at the ID here. And I believe that'll do it. Yep, there we go. So now scroll back up to relationships and add that as an object relationship. So now when we go back out to our GraphQL, we have all of these different ways we can query and all of these different functions. And these are just the query functions, right? So source collector. Oh yeah, and we'll lose the Teradata ones because they aren't in our migrations, but that's fine. Remember, we're running this locally. So we're doing migrations locally, not like in some weird magical place. So if we do our keyword of mutation here, open close braces, control space, you'll see we have all our update, inserts, and deletes now. So let's just pick one. And you'll see over here in the Explorer, it actually changes to the particular options we have. So you can do one insert at a time. You can do multiple objects at a time. So all of those functions are there to call out to the server itself, right? So, okay, we have our database out there. We have a database schema that I pointed to out on dbdiagram. I believe the link is available. Again, I'll just post it. Hey, Viable Clan member, how are you doing today? I am in almost in hour 3 of putting together all this stuff. Just put together, I was gonna summarize real quick, so I'll do that. Started out, went through every little minute step of putting together the Terraform to be able to build immutable infrastructure, a Postgres server, a database in the Postgres server, and the container, pulling the container of the Hasura GraphQL API to be able to connect, set up a firewall, boom, connecting all those things together. That was in the first part of this stream. And then I dived into just now setting up the data model around my note jot taking application that's going to allow me to collect sources of data based on their URI endpoints. And they might be CSVs or Excel spreadsheets or whatever obscene data format somebody wants to use, XML, for example. And I'll be able to connect let's see, what do we have here? We have the formatter. Okay, so that'd be like CSV, XML, or whatever. And then we have the schema, which will be like the definitions of the columns or whatever it is that it's stored in, right? And then the activity that we want to run against it. So if it's like at a HTTPS point or an FTP endpoint, we know to take a certain action to get that data and then to commit an activity against it to pull that data and put it into somewhere. So that's where we are at so far. And yeah, so that's where we're at. Jamstack with Hasura on Heroku. Very cool, very cool. Yeah, so the free tier is pretty sweet with just Hasura and Heroku. I love it. I use it a lot. But for some stuff, I want to have it on its own infrastructure. So, for people that want to have stuff in Azure, I've set up this, which to note, today's stream, oddly enough, because I've talked about using Azure before, but Microsoft felt inclined to sponsor today's stream, which is kind of cool because it's always nice to have a sponsor from out of the blue pop up. So thanks, Microsoft Azure. They're sponsoring the stream. And on that note, which you may want to know, check this out. I got this URL for you. And I got a secret code. So go get yourself some swag. Here, I am posting this in the comments right now. Here is the secret code in swag. Just for you, IMHO clan member. Get you some. Get you something cool. Okay? Right there. Yes, indeedy. That is the secret code. And let me know what you get. I'm very curious, like what's actually even available. I don't know. But yeah, get out there and get you something. And if someone else wants to snag a code, I have one more code. One more code. One more code. Boom. Posting in chat right now. So get yourself something. Get it. Let's see here. The other thing I want to call out real quick too is a lot of the material that I'm covering on the stream today. It's a few hours of material and a lot of it is blogged already. So quick shout out to a few links. One is my link where I wrote this, how to get all this stuff set up on Azure and the dev environment using Docker, plus top 3 refactors I've done to that. And I'll have even more refactors after this stream. Then I also did this link up for a blog entry that's out on the Azure blog on doing just a click once. So even quicker way to get Hasura up and running if you just want to try it out on Azure. Okay. Doesn't give you all the repeatable, redeployable infrastructure that I've shown set up here today, or any of the interpolation, concatenation tricks to get the URIs without having to go in the portal, blah, blah, blah. So it's a fun, quick way to get started. Great blog entry, but not exactly what I'm doing here. Just kind of similar. Anyway, I'm going to continue onward. How have you been doing, Bible Clan member? Been enjoying any particular streams? Hey, Freestyle Coder. Rated with 5 viewers. Wait, 7 viewers it says. 5 viewers, 7 viewers. It's confused. So if y'all just missed, I posted a secret code. So somebody grab that secret code and get over as soon as you can and get some swag here. Right? Okay, awesome. Oh, I have made progress. We have made progress. We have made progress as a team. So the next step here, we've got all these migrations and everything in. We got all the relationships here. How do we make this repeatably deployed, right? So this is the state of our system, but let's say we Terraform destroyed now and we nuked all this stuff. That would be scary if we did all this work and weren't able to redeploy it easily, right? So that's what we're going to talk about now. So this is the local instance again running. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to just Control C and zonk that. Again, that was from Hasura console in the migrations directory, which meant that it knew to use the console to build out all of these migrations, which it did. Okay, so I got those now. Now, the easiest way to get those back is to do Hasura migrate apply. Okay, of course, though, nothing to apply because it's all applied out there in the environment already. Whoops, I have the link up still. Speaking of that link, here it is in chat. Let me know what y'all get, by the way. If you go out and get something real quick. Tax status. Why did it want your tax status? That's really weird. I think it worked. Yeah, we got people in here. Freestyle Coder. Code has already been redeemed. Oh, phooey po. I guess somebody beat you to it, Code with Sean. I appreciate that you gave it a go though. That's awesome. That's kick-ass that you gave it a go. How was the stream, by the way? What were you up to? Any mischievousness? Any good stuff? It's up arrow, up arrow. I don't know what that means. I'm stupid at the moment. Oh shoot, I gotta remember my freaking thing here. Oh, here we go. How do I get this? Oh, there we go. Okay, so I was talking about migrations. Oh, to comment on our test. Comment. I love it. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, right? You know, to keep things going. So you just comment the damn test out and you keep going and more stuff breaks. I love it. I love coding. It's so much fun solving problems with hacks. Story of my life. Right there with you. Okay, so the migrations that I just was talking about, Hasura migrate apply, that applies to migrations. You can do Hasura migrate apply back or whatever, and it moves it back and forth. And there's a bunch of stuff. It's out there in the docs about the different directions to go. The other thing that I want to talk about right this moment, though, is the metadata, right? So let's see here. So what is it? It's metadata. Yes. So the command is Hasura metadata. Whoops. You can do apply just like we did with the migrate, which applies the migrations all in one fell swoop. Okay. There's not version migrations. You either have current state and the thing before, right? So there's like it's just one big fell swoop of you export and then apply your migrations. There's just the one big thing and you keep them up to date. So it's important to note that with Hasura versus the migrations, which are done very typically in the, or I should say done very much in the relational database migration, database schema migration style, which is typically versioned and then you move it back and forth as needed for your various environments that you want to deploy stuff to. So anyway, you can do apply like that. Of course, nothing to do because yeah, there's no metadata stuff, but also what plugin is just plugin version. Right. Okay. Yeah. That's what I expected. So let's do Hasura metadata and then export though. And uh-oh. Plugin version is not available. Are we not in the right freaking directory? Like all this stuff should be filling up. And what is this fucking stressing about? Oh yeah, let's do this. Install that plugin. I want that plugin. Whoa, what the bloody? Okay, so it's not. Failed to export, cannot export metadata from server, cannot export actions from metadata. Same thing, yeah. Hasura metadata import. Okay, let's do this then. Let's go out to console again. Source collector, track all, yes please. There we go, so everything's tracked. And then, yeah, secure your endpoint events, schemas action. And I've completely spaced. Allow Postgres schema, yes. That was what I was doing a minute ago. Let's do help real quick. So metadata export Hasura. I didn't want that kind of help. I just want to do this. There it is. Export expands the. There is a way to do this in the UI, and I'm completely spacing on how to do that. And the endpoint is using the config.yaml. I guess we will skip that at the moment. Subscriptions, actions, remote schemas, migrations, and metadata. Maybe. There we go. Console. Oh yeah, that's what we want to do. Click on the settings icon at the top right of the console screen. Where is, oh, that's right. Okay, so we're going to export that. There we go. And I'm going to take that and copy it. And I'm going to put it in, so that's not where's my stuff? Oh yeah, there, codes. And we are in, not TurboSport, Terrazura. And then we're going to migrations, metadata, and I'm going to put that in here. I don't know if that actually, you know what the heck, I'm just put that out here because, okay. And then reload all remote schemas. We don't have any remote schemas at the moment. And import metadata should, yep, okay, let me pick the thing. So now let's go through all this. Metadata status, it's consistent with the database. Got allow list about, okay, cool. And then we have our data. So now, it's all fine and dandy. Let's confirm in the console though, I mean in the portal. Every time I type portal, I type Portland. Weirdest sign-in process ever, I swear. Okay, there's our stuff. Terrazura Hasura API. Let's take a look at that real quick. There's our CPU, our memory usage, network bytes. So not super energy intensive, as you can see. But what we're going to do now is nuke everything and get everything rebuilt with metadata. We got our metadata saved. We got our migration saved. Let's commit all this stuff into good old Git. Let's see what we got first. You know what's the command here? Oh, that was not the command. Come on, give me the nice little GUI. git push commit. I guess I want to do commit first. I don't get a whatever. Oh, okay, fine. So let's see what we got here. Oh, a bunch of stuff. So there's all our migrations. And then we should also have our metadata. So there's all that. And see, you can see the relationships. These are peripheral to the ones we added in the database. The database has its own relationships, but these are in addition to that because it can go far beyond just the relationships in the database. All right, with that said, adding migrations and metadata. We reformat code, rearrange code, optimize imports, cleanup, update copyright, sure. And Terraform format, please, and Go format, sure. It's not doing Go, but whatever. And then I'm going to scroll back up, pick all 35 unversioned files, and commit those. Now let's commit them. Okay, so now git push, and that'll be up on my repo, which, speaking of, the repo for this stream today is, let's see here, right here. So go check it out if you want to check out the stream repo. It's got all the code bits in it. So now we're going to do the super destructive thing. You ready? We're going to nuke it. All right, so back out. Terraform destroy. Oh yeah, I'm not doing it right. Terraform destroy. And it's all going to go away. So this is going to take a minute or two, as it always does. And as I had stated earlier, I wanted to be prompted. Yes, I want to destroy everything. So that's what's happening, destroying everything. The database is going to be gone. The database server is going to be gone. The resource group is going to be gone. The firewall setting is going to be gone. The database schema and tables, relationships, all of that work we did is going to be gone. And then we're going to re-add all this stuff, get everything pushed back using migrations, metadata, and Terraform against Azure. So that's going to take a minute here. What is this? Being accessed by other users. Oh, what, I got to run this like 2 times. Server, we destroy. So what's it doing? Firewall rule. So most of the things are destroyed. Let's give it a go again. So 3 to destroy. Was that different than? Yeah, 5 to destroy, 3 to destroy. So we're making progress. It was just not cooperative. I guess it doesn't know to try. Terraform doesn't really know to try multiple times to destroy the database. That's okay, though. We don't want Terraform to know that type of thing. We don't want it to get too smart on us. All right, running. Any minute now, we're going to have a destroyed database. And we can complete this stream by having all this stuff rolled together, bam, redeployed, and usable. So we'll be able to do future development on this puppy using all of this, which future streams, which I will be announcing tomorrow, by the way. So go sign up on Composite Code, the newsletter that I have. Here, a quick link. Seriously, go sign up. You want to join the other streams. I'm going to build some really just sick, badass, awesome stuff in the coming year. There it is. And you know what? I'll post it in the comments too, just so you can click on it and go directly to it and sign up. So go sign up right now. Go sign up. And you will get the update either tonight or tomorrow before the end of the year. I don't have a lot of time. You will get the update that has all the schedule for the first quarter for thrashing code posted in the newsletter for your personal scheduling to see what you would like to or not like to come hang out with me to learn about or do. And there's going to be some interesting, like, actual talk and hangout stuff. There's going to be some coding. There's going to be some reference app building and a bit of shredding. So, like, actual shredding. Bloop. I always do that. I click on the comment and then the other thing and then the other thing and then the other thing, and I was all, what the hell? Oh, there we go. Oh, all right. So it's destroyed. All right, this is the final test. Final test. So we're going to Terraform apply. Oh, let's go in and look at our mess though first, right? So again, I'm going to go back to Portal. I always have to sign back in. Can't you just like let me back in? So nothing in resources here. Let's go look in the resource groups, because as earlier we saw, it's kind of weird in where the things are at. So no resource groups. There's no, based on all services and everything, there's no container, nothing running, right? Okay, we got nothing as expected, really. So I'm going to click on all resources. So bounce back over here and let's apply. Now, this should apply and get everything rebuilt from the infrastructure perspective specifically, right? Once we do that, then we will apply the migrations. Then we will apply the metadata. What that would look like from a full automation point of view is there's that, right? So then we do migrations, and then we do Hasura migrate apply, and then we do Hasura migrate, metadata. I wonder if, I guess, let me look up the syntax real quick. Import, is it import? Metadata apply. Oh yeah, I think it's, Well, I think what we'll have to go through the UIs we'll have to go through. So I'm going to figure out how to apply that in automated fashion. I think that might be getting tweaked, which is why I'm a little perplexed by it. But anyway, so as soon as that's done, this will probably take 2 or 3 minutes, like it normally does, to create a database. Database is getting set up with 7 days worth of database backups. All the integrity that you would have in your Postgres being managed in Azure via the relational database services. Database is being added. Pull up the Terraform, actually talk through it from it. There we go. So here's a provider in its new weird way that we learned today is how it's done. And then we have the resource group, which everything is added to. Then here's the server, right? We're using Postgres version 11. SSL enforcement is enabled, is true. So within the environment, SSL is used, but we also noted that SSL is not used for the API server because we don't have a certificate set up or anything, right? Yet. Future stream. So passes in the username and password, which is derived from an environment variable via the script. We have 7 days of retention backed up. We are not geo-redundant, and we did set to auto-grew to true. And we start off with 5 gigs of storage, which is perfectly fine for our purposes. Then the database is added, which the one unique thing that really matters to us is that's the database name that's being passed in via the script. Then we set up the firewall rule so that the database can be communicated with, or the database server with the database can be communicated with via the container that runs our Hasura API service. So here's our container group that then has a container here of this image, Hasura GraphQL Engine version 1.3.3. Okay, a little bit of memory, 1.5, half CPU. Named it, gave it the API port specifically so that we can go to a specific API port to get to it. I did, however, this port not being super pertinent for the console because I turned off the console. So we only used the locally instantiated and initialized and executed console that comes from running it via the CLI, the Hasura CLI. So Hasura console, running that in the migrations directory, uses the config.yaml file and points it at that. And that's how we do edits against our Hasura server, add stuff to the database and all that stuff. We don't need any other interface. We can just use the Hasura interface. And then I added a tag and then the environment variable here for the database URL with all its concatenated and interpolated elements. And then we have the URI path. So I don't have to go out to the console or anything to get the path. I can just start writing API code with whatever client language I want to, because I already have the string. I don't have to go back out anywhere else. So that's another way things can be used to automate what it is that I'm doing. And yes, I do need to get the metadata automation figured out, because right now I just having to do it through the UI. That's just because I don't remember what it is I'm supposed to do to import the file. All right, so how are we doing here? Where are we at? 20 seconds on the firewall. Still creating the firewall rule. That should take like not 20 seconds, but like 1 second. Always a little weirded out when stuff's being created. Like, what is happening? I mean, I used to click on databases in my day. Yeah, but okay. Here we go. Any second now. Come on. What the hell? 50 seconds. I guess that's a cumulative, so it's not taking too long. The database took 4 minutes and 3 seconds, it looked like. And this part has taken about a minute, and then it's done. And here is our location. Okay, that's already in our config.yaml, so we can go into migrations now. Okay, and we can do Hasura, migrate, apply. Oh, but before that, let's do the console so we can see what's in there. Nothing. Okay, you notice there's nothing here. Oh, I don't know. That's old stuff. Don't save that. Migrations, SQL, no schema. There's no schema there, as you can see. There's nothing in the Explorer. It's empty, completely empty API. So let's go back over here. Let's zonk that out. And let's do, we're in migration. So now we can do Hasura, migrate, apply. And let's let all that run. They're applied. So now if we refresh this, it's dead, but I'm going to do console. There we go. Now if I go back here and refresh and click this source collector. Now if you're with me earlier, you'll notice there was that other schema that I made that was outside of the context of when I made the migrations. So it's not back, but the source collector stuff is. And there's all the track tables. So that's all there. And I'm not going to really touch anything. I just wanted to look and see what is there. So it says track all. So let's go back over to the little wheel. Let's do import metadata. And we're going to go to the project, Terrazura, and migrations. Pick that metadata file. I'm going to open it. And it's going to import the metadata. Oh, dear goodness. Cannot continue to do to inconsistent metadata. Code expected. So let's do this. Let's do Hasura metadata apply. Something is amiss. So I bet we can do this though. Let's go back to the data. I'm going to click track all here. Oh, whoops, I have to start it again. There we go. Go back to the data. I had put track on those before, so let's just do that again. And then go to my schema here, track all of these. And that should do that. And then we're going to track all the relationships. Okay. So then I should be able to do this. Say import metadata, this, and then this. And no. Oh, no such table. Oh, it did save this darn thing here. That I didn't want anyway. Oh, so it okay, it worked. Okay, so now go back over here, and everything should be here. Relationships, more relationships. Yep, note jot, relationships. All right, we are looking good. We are looking good. And all the stuff here, yep, all this is back. Again, I don't need this stuff to even be in there. Stat statements, like I'm not really worried about that. All right, so all in all, we got all the bases covered there. So let's go back out to the repo. Refresh this and just look real quick. There's the API server. There's the server in Azure. And then in here, let's go to, whoops, Terrazura. Okay, we set up infrastructure using Terraform. Then we set up the GraphQL API server. We set up dev. Well, we set up prod. We didn't set up dev. Check out my blog entry over here, posting live on the stream right now. That one, and then check out the refactor on it too. And that will show you the dev Docker setup of local dev to work with. Then we built out our initial database schema. All right. And we deployed the database using the CLI migrations, which you just saw. And we did a little bit of metadata too. I had not actually planned to do that, but I wanted to give it a go. And let's see here. Oh, we haven't talked about this: introspection, queries, mutations, and subscriptions. So from here on, we are going to talk about GraphQL bits a little bit. Whew, all this stuff. So we're on our 3 hour and 14 minutes, and we're getting into the GraphQL bits. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to go back over to this all come out like that. And we're going to open localhost again, and we're going to do some stuff. All right, first things first, let's look at what can we do? We can add, let's pick a table that's pretty straightforward. Let's see, we can do note probably. That's going to generate node ID. That's not going to generate, but it doesn't need to be. Oh, we need to do a modification. Oh, let's do that metadata here. Node ID, nope, not node ID. Yeah, actually node ID. It can be nullable. True. And then, okay, yep, that's what we wanted. So now insert row. There we go. So now we can leave this null. It doesn't have to be related back to itself, in other words, right? So that's an elephant ear relationship where it relates back to the thing that it's connected to. If you want to learn more about relational database data modeling, I have a video out on that right now, out on my YouTube. So you can check that out. Swing out to my YouTube at youtube.com/thrashing code, which is also where I will send this VOD when I'm wrapped up with this. Okay, so now we don't need to set a stamp either. We just need to add the details, which is note jot number 1. Okay. Oh shoot, no, default. That's what we want. Okay, note jot number 1. There we go. And then we'll do number 2. And then something more. And then let's do lorem ipsum. There we go, whatever, just generated already. And then we're gonna take a bunch of stuff, put it in there. Second one in there. Cool. All right, so if we browse, there's our rows, right? And this would be stuff it's related back to. I'm going to make this second paragraph here. I want to actually edit this. Let's edit it. Oops. I want to go back though. I want to get the ID of the first paragraph, but edit the second paragraph and put that in there to relate it back. Oh, what do I need oh, I have a space. There we go. Okay, so now if I do browse rows, we should have one that relates back to the other one. The other ones don't, but this one does. So it has a parent. All right. So relationships, permissions. All right. This is cool. This is cool. We made some progress. Let's go to the GraphQL and let's talk GraphQL for a minute. I'm going to go down. Actually, let's just do this. And we're going to do source, note jot. Let's see here. Let's just do, we're going to do details. Boom. Look at there. There's all our stuff. If we look over the Explorer, we can see more things that we can pick by. Let's say we want to do a where, right? Where details equals note jot number 1. Okay, there it is, the first one. But let's say, let's see here, let's do like, and let's remove this one. Oops, put that back. And then this one is just going to do note. See what we get. So nothing. So not like note. Let's see here. Similar. Let's put note in that. Well, I didn't do it either. What is it? Let's see here. Equal. Oh, N. I think N is what I was trying to do. Oh. Let's look it up real quick. GraphQL. Find text in text. Was that it? Ah, there we go. Okay, that's what I was looking for. That's the I like. Boom. And we'll put this in here. We'll just put note. And then boom. No. Oh yeah, I have to do the anything around it. There we go. That's what I was trying to do. So we can do that, or let's do forum. And boom. Oh no, is that not right? Ipsum. There we go. So there's Ipsum. And I guess Ipsum is down here somewhere. Do placerat. Oops. Oh, is it in both places? I guess. Oh, there it is. Sure is. Ha. Okie dokie. So anyway, that's a where clause. If there's mathematical stuff, there's greater than or equal to, things like that. So lots of ways there to do a where clause. You can do order by. Let's do order by stamp. Hey. You know, that's that thing that I love, right? Let's add the stamp just so we can see. There we go. So we can see in time, it's now ordered ascending, right? Let's do ascending, nulls first, nulls last. So there's no nulls. That's cool, which should theoretically make it faster, I believe. And there we go. So we bounced it around. there's just some basic queries, right? But you know, that's all fine and dandy. Let's get into some mutations. Oh, I am spelling it right. Okay. We're going to do insert note jot, but I want to do note jot 1. Oops. So then we'll do by details again, and all that rest of that stuff should be inserted. No problem. Oh wait, I need to do object and then details. Details is what's returned. Actually, let's do details and ID. Okay. Then we'll add this. We'll say this is the parent item. Run that. Okay, and we're going to take this ID. We're going to add the elephant ear here and add that. Related leaf item. There we go. So and then let's take that item and nest it even deeper because it's recursive, right? Item 2. And did we do details that are duplicate? Can we do duplicate? Oh, it looks like I just made a duplicate. Yeah. So let's go back now. Let's query. And we'll do source collector note jot. And then we're going to do just details. We're going to have a duplicate in here somewhere. Something more. Yep. Related leaf item 1, or leaf item 2 and leaf item 2. So, whoops. Let's do a mutation and get rid of that. We don't want that in there. Delete source vector note jot, not by primary key, note jot here. And we're going to do where, and then the details. And what was it? I forget what it was. So let's see, I'm going to keep that and just do a query again real quick. And source note jot details related leaf item 2. So related leaf item 2. What am I? Oh yeah, I need affected rows, and we should get 2. 2. We did indeed. We have success. So now though, let's go back to data. Let's look at note jot. And then let's go to modify, edit details. Let's say unique. It does need to be unique. Or do we might have the same note about different things. We could have the same note about different source. A different source could have the same note. Like we could say cool note, and then another source would have cool note. So it would be duplicate. So, oh. Would that be... How would I do that? I could do it where note jot, let's see, relationships. We have note jot and source notes. So note jot is related to source. So if I did this, and source has notes, right? Is that how it works? Oh no, source notes. Yeah, so source note ID and source notes.
So yeah, that would be, I could do ID unique by description. So, oh, that ain't gonna work either. Unless I did. Yeah, that's a bit complicated what I'm trying to do here. So I'd have to put like the source and node ID in the source and make the many-to-many just the many-to-many. And the node jot's about a source. So this stuff can be the same. But node jot would need, oh, it would need, so I could do this. I could do source ID, UUID, okay. Not have, yeah, I'd have to require it. And then I would have to associate that. I'd have to do nullable off. And then say the source ID always has to be unique. Source and detail ID has to be unique. So like you could have different notes per thing. So that would make it work. But I already have data in here and I don't have this. So, oh, I guess I could do this. I could do source ID like that. So that would work. And then I would change the primary key to that. So I don't think I can do it though because of the nullable. Yeah, it's going to break because of the nullable. I'd have to fill this in. I'd have to make the relationships work by adding data for them and then do that. So anyway, all in all, we have knocked out a ton of stuff today. We just covered a fair bit of GraphQL. I'll get more in depth into that on my channel here, Thrashing Code, and also we'll be getting more in depth, very, very much more in depth into GraphQL on the Hasura channel. So go check that out. There is the site. You can go check out community, get connected to that. The Hasura HQ is the Twitch channel and the YouTube channel. So I'll be doing GraphQL stuff on there. And then, of course, that is the open source repo, the GitHub link right there. So go follow. Just as a follow-up, follow me here on Twitch. Going to have a lot more stuff. Going to have a lot of shredding, music, bikey stuff, all sorts of things in the coming year. 2021 is going to kick ass. I hope so. You know, maybe we'll have some variants of the virus and all that kind of stuff will suck. But hey, we will at least have lots of code here on Thrashing Code. We'll have some shredding and some other miscellaneous adventures. So it'll be a good time. Come hang out. Follow me here. Go subscribe on my YouTube channel. It's the same thing. You know, it's just youtube.com/thrashingcode. This is twitch.tv/thrashingcode. You know the drill. So go check it out. And of course, I'm on Twitter at Adrian. I'm on GitHub as Adrian. And I am Adrian at my channel here, Thrashing Code. I work at Hasura. Again, go check it out. Thanks to Microsoft for sponsoring the stream today. Appreciate that. Peace out, y'all. They do have a code of conduct again. I might have broke it because I said shit once. I hope that's okay, though. I think it'll be okay. If not, they can scream at me. And then, of course, the repo we worked on today. Boom, 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 boom. Go check that out. It's right there. You can get all of the bits from the stream and work with it, hack with it. If you have any questions, ping me on Twitter. Ping me on wherever. You know, wherever I'm at. I'm on the Hasura Discord. I'm on Twitter, probably even more. And I'm happy to answer your questions. If I don't have an answer, I will go get an answer for you. So on that note, happy Thrashing Code. Hope your 2020 wasn't too ostentatiously insane or horrible. And may our 2021 be a dramatic improvement. And on that note, I'll see you next year. Big deep breath, y'all. Big deep breath.